So, all right, guys, we got to get this one right. On three, we're going to say, welcome back to Extraordinary Thoughts for on their mind. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome back to Extraordinary Minds.
And we back.
That'll work right there.
Yeah.
And we back. And we
Yeah.
back. And we back. And we
We did
back.
our
And we
Y'all did y'all best. And that's all that
and
matters.
we. What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm your host, Demetrius Thickpen, also known as Meech Speaks, and welcome back to another episode of Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. And I tell you, last week just feels like an absent week in podcasting. You know what I mean? Monday, we had the holiday, and I never really been a big fan of dropping episodes on a holiday, just for the simple fact that I always feel like holidays are the time where you spend with your family. Like any time off from work that you get, you probably are spending it with your loved ones. And my idea of when I listen to a podcast is, I'm probably in the car on my way to work, or you see what I'm saying? I'm not around kids. I'm not around family. I'm not around, I'm somewhere by myself when I listen to a podcast. Now, if you were expecting that episode Monday and I did not deliver, I apologize. However, Friday, I do got some explaining to do, because I came in with every intention of doing an episode for Friday. So let me just go ahead. Let me plead my case. Okay? Because I'm not inconsistent. I just really want everybody to understand that I got that shot. All right, I'm fully vaccinated. And, this isn't the part on the episode where I tell people to go and get vaccinated. No, that's not it. I'm going to tell you that I got vaccinated, right? And the first shot, it hit me, but it didn't hit me hard. Like, I think like for the first couple of hours, I was just bogged down. Like everything was just running kind of like low. The second shot, oh my God. The second shot, man. Let me tell you, the next day, I wake up and I feel like a fucking semi truck hit me. Body aching, head hurt. Like I pretty much had fucking COVID. And I'm talking about, I was so sick. And there was nothing in me on that day that I couldn't even get out of bed. I was sweating nonstop. Going to sleep, wake up, going to sleep, wake up, going to sleep, wake up. So I apologize, for not putting out an episode Friday, but I just didn't have it in me. I'm going to just be 100% with you. I just did not have it in me. But aside from damn near being on my deathbed from this fucking shot, I remember laying in bed, right? And I think it was like during one of my sleeping episodes. And as I was laying in bed, I woke up and my son was laying next to me. And I look over and I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? And as I'm laying there, he's got his little sword with him and he's just been chilling out. He's got his little tablet. He's just hanging out. And I look over and I'm like, what you doing here? And he says, well, I know you're sick, so I came in here to protect you. I looked at him. And I'm like, boy, I don't need to be protected. Then I pass out. Wake up a couple of hours later. He's still there. I look at him again and I say, boy, what you doing here? He's like, well, I'm just protecting you. And I'll just be honest with you, man. That meant a lot to me. You know what I mean? It just meant a lot to me. And I've always wanted to do an episode like this, and usually on Father's Day, I usually do a Father's Day episode. But parenting, right? Parenting has always been a challenge. And for those who don't know, I'm a father of 3. I rarely post. If not, I think I stopped putting my kids on my social media just for the simple fact that you motherfucking scammers, bro. You motherfucking scammers get out of hand. You see what I'm saying? And I understand it's social media, so I don't really trip too much when my image gets taken. But it's one thing for mine to be taken, and then my kids' images are being taken. So I refrain from putting my personal life. I'm actually a very private person. I refrain from putting my personal life on social media. You know, despite how transparent I am, I try to keep certain things private. But parenting, you know, when I first became a parent in 2012, I sat back and I asked myself what type of parent I would be. You know what I mean? Like, what type of parent that I would be. And like many parents, I'm pretty sure we all said that we wanted to be a better parent than ours. You know, we wanted to do the things that our parents couldn't. We want to give our kids the things that our parents couldn't give us. We wanted to be a better parent. And I would be remiss if give me a second. I would be remiss if I didn't say those things as well. You know, I want to be a better parent. I definitely want to be better than my father. And for those who don't know my relationship with my father, you know, he's an alcoholic, you know, very, very absent in my life. So naturally, I said that I wanted to be a better father. Here I am, 30, right? You know, I got an 8-year-old, I got a 6-year-old, and I got a 3-year-old. And I think I had it all wrong. I really think I had it all wrong. First things first, you know, as I sit back and I try to compare myself to my parents, I kind of feel like I was in the wrong for doing that. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like I was in the wrong. And I say that I was in the wrong because naturally I'm already in a better position than what my parents were in. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I don't think we take that into consideration, that our parents had us in a time in their life where they just either weren't expecting to. Nobody is ever prepared for parenthood. You know what I mean? Despite what type of parents you had, whether they were in your life, out of your life, whether they are emotional or non-emotional, nobody is necessarily prepared to be a parent. You know, no matter how many books you read, it'll never truly prepare you for parenthood. And I say that I was in a better position than my parents were because my mother was a single mother. You see what I'm saying? Like, my mother had to raise us on her own. I'm not raising my kids on my own. My kids have both their parents in their life. And I don't say that to brag or boast. I say that because I'm in a different position. And before I could sit back and say that I'm a better parent, I had to take a step back and look at my parents. Just like what I said, my mother, she was a single parent, raised 2 kids on her own. And despite everything that was thrown against her, and when I say thrown against her, I'm talking about during the times of a recession. And although unemployment was at an all-time high, finding a job in your field was something hard to do. My mother sacrificed her pride and worked at different jobs just to make ends meet. And when I say that she worked at different jobs, you see what I'm saying? Some were at her level or some were below her level. When I mean the ones that were below her level, me and my mother used to work at the exact same grocery store together. She was the cashier. I was the cart pusher. And I can only imagine during a time of a recession where it was just almost damn near impossible to get a job. You know what I mean? But despite that, you still got 2 kids in school. You still got 2 kids that you got to do everything for, right? You got to make shit happen. And if that means that you got to swallow your pride, and get a job that you know damn well you don't need to be at just to put food on the table, then fuck it, my mother did that. My mother also made sure that she was present. My mother was very present in my life. Whether it was at a football game, whether it was at a graduation, my mother was present. And I think that part right there is something that I always try to be, you know what I mean? I try to be present in my children's life. Even when they lived in a different state, regardless, I would try to make shit happen and try to show up as much as I could. Holidays. No matter what the holiday was, my mother made sure that there was a full meal on the table. And when I mean a full meal, I'm talking about a full feast. I'm talking about she waking up early in the morning, coming down. She cooking all day. And she ain't just cooking for us. She cooking for our friends. When you came to our house, you came to a home. And I think that tendency right there rubbed off on me, because if you know me, I go hard on the holidays. I go hard on the holidays. I'm talking about I'm waking up early. I'm drunk by the afternoon, but before I get drunk, I'm already preparing the entire meal. I bring that up because as we sit back and say that we want to be better parents, we got to take a moment and say that a lot of the things that our parents do tend to rub off on us, right? My temper and my mama's temper are the exact same. Short fuse. We both got short fuses. And despite that it's Meech speaks, Meech doesn't listen. And a lot of times I feel like my mother, she just didn't do a lot of listening. You know what I mean? And when I mean listening, it always felt like it was just a one-way street. And I get it. You raising 2 kids on your own. You got to make ends meet. She got that big Leo energy too. So you already know that it was either her way or the highway type of shit. So I feel like that part right there made me, when I become a parent, that I wanted to listen more to my children. You see what I'm saying? Like I wanted to hear them. I wanted to understand them emotionally. I wanted to respect their boundaries. I wanted to help them create healthy boundaries. Now my father, he was different. My father was cool, calm, and collected a lot. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure, which is weird because my father and me are both Sagittariuses. So I always wondered, how my father truly was. But just like what I said, my father was an alcoholic. He came in and out of my life. And although, I held a lot of hate towards it. He came in when I was 8. I didn't see him when I was 11. 11, I ain't seen him when I was 13. 13, I ain't seen him when I was 15. 15, I ain't seen him until I was 18. 18, I ain't seen him until I was a grown man with kids. I held a lot of animosity towards his absence. But I didn't show a lot of love towards the times that he was there. And what I mean by that is that it's so easy for us to get into this mode where, anger is such a strong emotion that it tends to always show up first. And when I say that it shows up first, we tend to forget the happier times in our life. So I reflect a lot back on the times when he was in my life and the things that my father taught me. And I say the things that my father taught me. See, my father taught me a lot of compassion. He taught me love. He taught me, I'm gonna just be 100% like, because of my father, that's probably why I'm such a nerd. You know what I mean? Like into DC, into Marvel, into anime, because my father was as well. My biggest pet peeve was that people used to say that I'm just like my father, but I couldn't understand what they meant when they said that I was just like my father, when my father wasn't really in my life like that. I may feel like I'm kind of like on a little tangent, but just allow my heart just to speak for a little bit. The things that my father taught me, I would carry on to my children. And I think that because of my father's lack of absence is why I'm so present in my kids' life. Ironically, though, me and my father both have something in common because we tend to miss important moments. I wasn't there when my son was born. I was deployed. Sometimes I feel like at times that I'm always at work, vice being with my children. Although I crave their presence and I try to be there as much, I tend to put my job first sometimes, too many times. And in the moments right there, I say to myself, like, damn, I'm just like my father. Except for he was an alcoholic, I'm just a workaholic. So although I try to be as present as possible, sometimes I tend to fall short. And I try, and I'm being honest, and I'm just being transparent with you on this episode because parenting, right? Parenting isn't about being better than your parent. Parenting is about taking the things that, parenting isn't about being better than your parent. Parenting is about being the best parent for your child. You know what I mean? Like if I spent time saying that I want to be better than my father, I ended up being worse. If I said I wanted to be better than my mother, I figured that I would end up being worse. But if I focused on being the best parent for my kids, I ended up being the best parent. And I say that because a lot of times we get so hung up on the things that our parents couldn't do for us. We get so hung up on the things that our parents couldn't do for us, that they didn't understand. But we forget this right here. Your parents were doing the best that they could with the shit that they had. They were doing the best that they could with what they had. And I'm talking about the experience that they had, the time that they had, the money that they had. You know, growing up during that recession and those times where my mother had to make ends meet, we didn't have the things that we wanted. We just had the things that we needed. So we didn't have like the nice clothes. We didn't have the nice, all that other expensive shit that I flaunt now. We didn't have that. And I don't fault my mother for it, because my mother did what she could with what she had. And I bring that up right there because you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to be better than your predecessors. You're going to drive yourself crazy trying to be better than the ones that came before you. Whether that's in leadership, whether that's in life, whether that's in parenting, you're going to drive yourself crazy. The best thing that you can do is be the best you now. The best thing that you can do is be the best parent for your kids now. You see what I'm saying? Earlier, I said that we can't prepare for parenthood, but the thing that we couldn't do about parenthood that we can't prepare for is how to raise a child. But the thing is that we do come with a certain level of experience from our parents. We already got an idea of what parenting looked like because of how our parents raised us. So as we come into it, we need to we learn how to focus on our kid, what they like, the things that they want, their needs. I'm talking about their physical, mental, emotional needs. And then from there, you see what I'm saying? From there, we build. From there, we grow them. From there, we nurture them. From there, we mold them. I'm not a better parent than my parents. I'm not. But I am a great parent to my children. And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Stay tuned Mondays and Fridays. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meech Speaks. Once again, that's Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Don't forget to share this podcast, subscribe to this podcast, follow this podcast, pass this podcast to somebody, because this podcast was dedicated to helping everyone become a better version of themselves. Even though I don't know what that type of version is, I just know that you can be better. Lastly, don't forget to grab your copy of The Extraordinary Thought from the Ordinary Mind, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. I think there's an electrical copy. You know what it is. Stay hungry, stay motivated. I'm out.